Welcome to the Scoop World Order. I've got my man Nevadabuck. Nevada, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing excellent. Happy NFL free agency day to you.
Yeah, we had some nice Ohio lineman contracts today. Talk a little bit about that in your little prophecy about taking Ohio-based linemen and how we should never let the top four O linemen in Ohio get out of the state.
Well, it's hard to ignore the numbers when you see Thuney signing for $80 million and Corey had to settle for a paltry $62 million, I think, and then Elfline got a smooth 13.5 all in 24 hours. It just goes again, to my point that I've made time and time again, that you can recruit nationally every other position, but just stay in Ohio for offensive linemen, get the four best that you can get, and live with the results, because Ohio really does a hell of a job of putting out elite offensive linemen at every level. And today was just another shining example of that. $155 million to Ohio kids in one day.
Yeah, it's really been insane. I mean, with Taylor Decker, he signed before the season started. Andrew Norwell, it's been crazy. I mean, the amount of talent and the contracts he's got signed. And Elfline signed a deal. He got $6 million guarantee, which is great for a guy who's had a bunch of injuries and he's a good player when he's healthy. I'm excited about this. So, big week for Ohio State this week. Let's talk a little bit about spring football, because we have Ohio State playing their opening game of the tournament on Friday, and we have Ohio State opening spring practice on Friday. So which one, I already know the answer to this, but I'm just gonna ask, what are you more excited for? Like the tournament or for spring football?
I'm more excited for spring football. Having said that, I actually, I'm really liking this Ohio State basketball team. And I like the way that they play. I like the way that they don't have a dominant guy, that guy that's just that top, surefire NBA star that everybody else just kind of stands around and watch. They really do, they've got a lot of guys that can get involved offensively. They don't have a big center, so that forces everybody to get involved defensively. And, the Big Ten tournament was a lot of fun, despite what happened there at the end. And, against Illinois, that was a hell of a game. They made an incredible run. And, I think Ohio State's the type of team that could win the whole thing in the NCAA tournament, or they could go out early. And I know that seems like those things are in conflict, but, if we don't shoot well and have a bad day and get up against somebody with a big, maybe one of those teams that has those dominant big men, like some random team like UC Irvine a few years back when they had the 7'4" guy, it could be a tough day for Ohio State, but it's going to be fun, and I'm going to be watching that. Now, I'm also going to be riveted watching Ohio State spring football. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting spring football seasons that we've ever had. To have a national championship contender where the key position battle is the quarterback battle with two just elite guys going, and Jack Miller, the third guy in there, the people are saying is really coming on. So I'm excited for all, but I can't wait for some spring football.
How deep do you have the Buckeyes going in your bracket, in your Scoop bracket championship? How deep do you have the Buckeyes going?
I have them going to the Final Four. I have them losing to Illinois in the semifinals. And so obviously I'm liking Ohio State. I was very Big Ten centric on the teams in my pool, just because I just think the Big Ten's been such a battle tested conference all year long, and I think the teams that are going to come out of there are they're going to be experienced and tough and ready to play, and hopefully the Big Ten puts on a good showing during the tournament.
Yeah, I think they're going to do great. Who'd you pick to win it all?
I picked Gonzaga.
Just like everybody else.
Yeah, I did. I went like everybody else and picked Gonzaga, and I don't really want to pick Gonzaga because I don't want to see another team, go perfect. But I think it's all set up for them, and it's going to take a mighty effort by somebody to beat them. They're an awfully good team. I've seen them play a lot of times out here on the West Coast this year. They're going to be tough. So I got them winning the whole thing.
How down is college basketball this year?
Pretty down.
I'm just saying, because it doesn't seem like there's the star power of past years. Like March Madness, I I don't see the stars. Like I don't see, like I mean, obviously no Duke, no Kentucky. It's like unbelievable because they normally have a bunch of lottery picks. It's been a strange year for college basketball. It's like where like Illinois is back up to being a one, being a one seed, and it's strange. You
Well, yeah. Well, any year that you've got North Carolina and Kentucky all bad teams, then it's just it's a weird year for college basketball. And there certainly hasn't been that super team or that team that you've got that's just loaded. The closest thing you've got is a Gonzaga. So maybe this is the you steal it, or maybe this is the year that with the because there isn't a super team that there's a ton of upsets, and it could be one of the more fun NCAA tournaments. I think the fact that we haven't had an NCAA, remember it got canceled last year. So
I know it was like
we haven't had March Madness in 2 years. So it's I'm looking forward just to seeing just another step towards normalcy, another return to a simpler time, and I'm certainly looking forward to it tipping off.
So a couple of gambling questions I got for you. Are there any bets opening weekend that you traditionally like to make that hit often, like lay the points and take these guys, or like the 4 versus the whatever, or and then actually the first part of the question, because I think you'll expand into this, which singular team and which singular year did a team make you the most money betting on them? Like for instance, like in 2009, Tyler Hansbrough, Carolina was straight cash. They covered every game. It was great.
Yeah, well, the Ohio State team with Connolly and Oden was a fun team to bet, and they were fun for a number of different reasons. They had a streak of covering that was good during the season, but then their totals became really predictable. They became a predictable team in terms of the over/under betting, and all the way up into the final game. And actually, I had Florida beating them, and had money on Florida on the money line and on the betting line. I guess it was an emotional hedge for me.
Emotional hedge, my favorite.
Yeah, the emotional. I love that team so much, but I just couldn't bring myself to bet on them. But against a Florida team that had all that firepower, and so it ended up, like I said, I'd won so much money betting on that Ohio State team, and then flipped around and bet against them in the final game and actually made more money. But I think during the tournament, there's a number of different things. Betting favorites early on has been a really good formula for making money. There was a stretch there where 16 versus 1, 15 versus 2 covers were happening at a pretty rapid pace, and then they got a little bit better. They got a little bit more sophisticated about setting the lines. I like looking at those 8-9 matchups as well. Those things are always usually, you can get some mismatches there, and I think that's where you can look for some value. I think the Big Ten or excuse me, the NCAA tournament is all about finding those teams that have got senior laden teams or 5th-year senior teams. Those teams can surprise, and if you can find those teams and get on them early, you can certainly make some money.
I love that. That's the year with Hansbrough. Do you have any bad beats from the tournament? I had a great one in 2009, my bachelor party. It was great. I was out there, and Louisville had to cover about like 22 opening round, and they're up 21, and the dude dribbles the clock, like he runs the clock out with 30 seconds ago. It's like some walk on just dribbling the ball. And I'm sitting there like screaming at the TV, like, you're walking, like shoot the ball, do something. And I remember that year, like the first round, I actually still remember the teams because I remember like the star players from the team. So Pitt was a 1 seed. Louisville was a 1 seed, and I thought Louisville would cover for sure just because they press a lot, and Patino, whatever. They sucked. They didn't cover by 1 point. Pitt wasn't even close. But then like Hashim Thabit and UConn beat a team by like 50. They were awesome. And Carolina beat the tar out of whoever they were playing. They were awesome. So it's like I'm eternally grateful to Hashim Thabit, who never did anything in the NBA, and Hansbrough, because they both covered big. And then the next day, I'll never forget my cousins. They looked at a line. It was the Bulls versus the Lakers. and I wasn't a big gambler. I'm still not a big gambler, but like the line was like 4 or like 6, and the Lakers are number 1 in the NBA, and the Bulls were like 8 in the East. Like they're barely in the playoffs, and like how's this line only like 4 or 5? I mean, it was like a small line, and Kobe was like in his prime, and I was sitting there and I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. And so I bet largest bet I've ever placed, and like at halftime they're down like, oh my god, they're down straight up like 14 or something crazy. So I'm like, God, I just lost all this money. I feel like an idiot. And of course you're only hearing the story because they came all the way back and covered in the second half. Like I've looked at that box score to this day because I've never been happier in my life. And people in the casino had no idea why I was so excited, but it was like I didn't even tell my family I placed this bet. I literally just went down to the cage, placed the bet, rolled out, went and worked out, and Kobe came back. Sasha Vujacic hit like a couple of threes. I was going crazy in the gym, and I mean, it was like the greatest feeling ever. It was amazing. It paid for my entire bachelor party on one Kobe Bryant bet, and I've loved Kobe ever since. God bless his soul, because man, he got me paid that day, and it was great. So, do you have any bad beats like that? Like the guy dribbling out the clock, or guy hits
I mean,
buzzer beater three.
I've got so many.
Well, like March Madness specific though.
Yeah, no, March Madness. Well, see, March Madness lines. I've always been a big fan of betting totals in March Madness because I think you can find some stylistic, differences between teams where you've got teams that like to take the shot clock deep into it every time, and that they're going to try to get the score down, and maybe they're playing against a team that likes to go up tempo, so maybe you catch the line a little bit higher, and just generally on bets like that, I've always been upset by the fact that you can bet a total and you can have the game completely figured out, and then the game goes overtime and it goes over the total and you lose the bet. And that has always bothered me. And so we would be betting totals. I remember me and my brother were betting totals, and we were betting totals in mid 90s, and we were on a streak. And we had a game, and it was with VCU, and I can't remember who they were playing. And the thing was going to go so under, and the game goes double overtime. And at the end of the double overtime, the guy hits a 3-pointer to drive the total over, and we lost like $4,000 or something like that, which at the time might have well been 4 million. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, it was so bad, and it was such a bad beat that for years and years and years we were just looking at it. I would always want to bet the over instead of betting. I would never bet another under total, and to this day I've tried to never bet another under total in the NCAA tournament, just because I think it's unfair that you get penalized if the game goes to overtime and you have to play the other side, and you get screwed on an over under.
Oh my god, that's brutal. Do you remember like the name of the player or anything? Like I remember.
I don't remember. I've blocked it. I blocked it out of my mind because I could still see the ball going through the hoop and just turning to look at my brother and just going. He was mouthing the words "oh blank," and it was like, oh my god, I can't believe that just happened, but it did. So it's those are. Gambling's always hard because you always remember the losses a lot more than you remember the wins. But I don't think that I've been on the good side of stuff like that. I think my good fortune, it's happened a few times where you get lucky, but I guarantee you the bad beats far outweigh the miraculous wins. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's just in life. I think when you lose, you remember a lot more of it than when you win. This is what it is. But I mean, gambling is like one of those things where it's just, man, it's frozen in time. Like I said, like Kobe, I never forget, Kobe hit that. I mean, when they came back and won, because I still look at the box score and the play-by-play, because I was like, am I crazy for making this up? And like I look it up and I'm like, no, this is exactly how it was. It was like they were down big at halftime, like playing like garbage, and then they just went nuts and they won. They covered easy. It's like when they got up like 8 or 9 and the spread was like, it was like 5 or 6, and like there's only like a minute left, and they're just fouling them. They're shooting free throws and hitting free throws, and it's like, oh, this is like so amazing. This is great. I remember I went to Tal that night because Tal was like the
yeah,
spot.
well, I think I've told you the story before. It's a little off topic, but I've told you my horse race story about the Kentucky Derby.
No, you never told me this story, but I can't wait to hear it.
like I said, if I've told the story before, for those people listening, just indulge me. But there was a Kentucky Derby bet where we were betting the post positions on the Kentucky Derby, and was at the Caesar's Palace, was looking at the sports book late at night, and they pulled up the post positions, and it said post position 16 through 20. You can get 500 to 1 on post position 16 through 20. And so bet the thing. My brother and I put $500 on it each. We got $1,000 on it, and went through and figured out that was the auxiliary post, that horses hadn't normally been drawn to that, and got found out that there was going to be a record number of entries to the Derby that year. The horses Arazi and AP&D both got drawn to the auxiliary post, and AP&D scratches the morning of the race as the 9-5 favorite, and Arazi never did anything, and it cost us $500,000. And then AP&D went on to win the Preakness and the Belmont, and was voted Horse of the Year that year. So had it not scratched, it would have. I mean, it's really likely that it would have won the Derby. I mean, again, it was the best horse in the country. But yeah, that was a $500,000 loss. So that was rather unfortunate.
I mean, I mean, the luck to just get that horse in that auxiliary slot, and then it's the favorite. It just happens to be the favorite. I mean,
yeah, it was the chalk. It was the favorite, and Arazi was the second favorite.
And it won the other two legs of the Triple Crown. That's the best part, is it won the other two legs. So it's not like it
won the other two legs. You can check this out. AP&D, you're checking everything. It won the other two legs of the Triple Crown. So it was that's probably the worst. That is the worst that I've ever. The worst.
Yeah, I mean, 500 to win $500,000. I mean, or 1,000 to win $500,000. I mean, come on, that's obscene.
Yeah, I still can't believe that they laid odds like that. I still can't believe that they would lay odds, that they would give those kind of odds on that kind of post positions. But obviously they thought that no horse had ever won from the auxiliary gate, so I guess they considered it to be unlikely.
That's crazy. Now to the final subject of this podcast as we wrap it up. Tony Esther, Operation Odessa. Why should the Buckeye Scoop family watch this? How many times have you watched it? I actually went back and watched it again last night. Talk a little bit about Operation Odessa.
What a great documentary. It was it's something I had no idea, no expectation going in to watch it, but when I seen the little, I don't think the trailer really did it justice, because it made it sound kind of hokey, like, hey, do you want to buy a submarine or something? But the true story of these guys that imported Russian cargo helicopters from the Soviet Union, and then tried to buy a submarine for the Kali cartel, were offered nuclear weapons, and then ultimately the guy gets $10 million to deliver the submarine and steals it and goes on the run from the Kali cartel. It was absolutely riveting. If you like documentaries, I said it's the best documentary. It certainly was the most entertaining documentary that I've ever seen, and yeah, I've watched it a couple times, and I certainly recommend it to all my friends. It was a lot of fun, and it was what a surprise. I mean, when it was over, I was really sad that it was over. I could have watched that for another few hours for sure.
I mean, it's complete insanity. I mean, the characters in it are amazing. They have the largest balls of any human beings ever. Some of the stuff they pulled, like running off with $10 million from the Kali cartel plug, is ballsy, considering they kill. I mean, if you look at them wrong, they kill you. So.
No, impersonating Pablo Escobar to the Russian mob. That was
that was the most amazing story ever. They're like, oh, we're gonna kill you unless introduce Pablo. Then like guy gets on a jet and acts like he's Pablo. He like looked like him just enough. They didn't know any better. This is pre, you couldn't really pull this off pre TMZ and pre internet search engines, because it's like, I think that the internet was a thing, but it wasn't like it is now, where it's like you could Google image somebody and say that doesn't look like Pablo. Like, he just showed up and act like him. And I'll tell you what, man, those guys had some balls. And I think they're all still alive. The one guy got extradited to Russia. The one guy still lives in Miami. And the other guy is our boy Tony Esther is in the can right now. So I'm gonna have to write him a
Yeah, but
couple
he's only doing
letters.
5 years, so he'll be out. Tony is the man. That's what I'm going to be for Halloween. I'm going to be Tony Esther for sure.
All you need is the sunglasses. You see those Gucci sunglasses? I found them
Sunglasses
online.
in a bag full of $10 million. That's a lot of paper.
A lot of paper. No, that was fantastic. Well, we'll have our spring ball. Hopefully we'll get a couple of practice reports to end this week. You know, they're not gonna be in pads, so there's not gonna be a lot of banging, but just kind of figure out who's going where. I know we got some guys that are out, that'll be hurt and on the sidelines, so the depth chart will probably be pretty temporary, but it's gonna be interesting to see who lines up at center, honestly, because Harry's out for spring. So is it gonna be Matt Jones? Probably. I mean, he
Yeah, I
looked
think
good last
we've
year.
got our guys in there. Like I said, there's going to be some names that are going to be emerged that are being that have some minor surgery stuff going on. This is the time of year when you clean some stuff up. So there's going to be some veterans that are sitting, and those young guys are going to be out there banging, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But we've got our contacts all geared up and ready to go, and they can't wait either. And we'll start dropping practice reports here as soon as they start going, and we'll all be kind of waiting to hear who's emerging and who's winning the battle. So it's going to be a fun next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and nothing beats a good practice report. Nothing beats a QB derby. Like nothing beats a QB derby. And plus, like some of these young freshmen that are in, I'm excited to see them run around and see if they can make some plays because you can't have enough depth, and you know you're only a play away from being a major contributor around here. Like that's the thing with college football now is we have so many kids that graduate early, and you know you gotta be ready to go, man. Even if one of these guys gets beat out, I mean, with the COVID stuff last year, we had more guys have to play than ever before, and I actually love that because it forces guys to stay ready, which is good instead of guys that just kind of chill all week and they're not worried. It's like that was the only good thing about COVID is that guys that weren't normally expecting to play had to start and play significant minutes against like decent teams. So that was good. But yeah, I'm real excited to see how QB derbies shakes out, how the running back deal shakes out, and see if anybody else is going to set out a practice because we're going to have some guys get some scopes that are going to be out and be interesting to see who steps up. But all right, well we gotta wrap you up. I know you only had 20 minutes from here or so, but we are you gonna go watch Odessa again? Is that why you're getting off? You gotta go watch Operation Odessa for the 50th time, so you can tell me about it again.
Absolutely. I'm going to be running that back tonight for sure.
Did you try to bail Tony Esther out yet? Scoop money.
I haven't.
Scoop credit card.
I'm writing them fan letters. I'm writing fan letters from the.
Should I send him a scoop?
From,
Send him a scoop shirt, scoop hat.
send him scoop shirt, yeah. To wear it exactly.
We'll give him some scoop commissary. You know, get him some Ritz, some. I know all about the commissary from my my time in the joint. So it's like I know you can get Ritz Spitz crackers and Cheetos, I think. So send him some scoop.
Yes, you can.
Scoop commissary. It's not quite the $10 million lifestyle, but it's better than nothing. So we'll catch back up maybe Friday before the tournament starts and maybe see if we can do a live streaming and see how that goes. So it's time to go watch Operation Odessa again, my man. You know.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, man.
All right, brother. I'll catch up with you. See you, my man.
Okay, very good.